the suspected train or the suspected shooter, but the alleged suspected shooter or stabber of an MTA train operator in Brooklyn is arraigned today. Check it out.
Now back to other news of the day. We're going to begin with the first court appearance today for the man accused of stabbing a subway operator. It happened yesterday in Brooklyn.
And it turns out 27-year-old Jonathan Davalos is no stranger to police or to jail cells. In fact, Davalos is on parole from Sing Sing for one of his crimes until 2028.
But he probably won't be on parole any longer. NJ Burkett with the stories live in downtown Brooklyn. NJ.
No, Bill, this time the charge is attempted murder, and he has been ordered held tonight without bail. Yes, this was a shocking, brutal crime that's left a subway motorman still struggling now to survive. His fellow union members packed the courtroom here in downtown Brooklyn for the suspect's arraignment.
Dozens of transit workers poured out of Brooklyn criminal court and embraced one another after the suspect was ordered held without bail. Union leaders said it sends a powerful message.
This is a step in the right direction. Like, transit workers have to be respected and have to be protected.
Prosecutors say 27-year-old Jonathan Davalos was arrested standing over his victim seconds after he dropped the weapon, described as a large kitchen knife. It happened at the Utica Avenue station in Brooklyn yesterday, an end-of-the-line station where passengers must exit the train. Investigators say when the train operator asked Davalos to leave the train, Davalos flew into a rage and chased the worker down the platform and stabbed him half a dozen times. The worker, identified as 64-year-old Myron Pollock, was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Police officers were in the station and made the arrest within seconds. In January 2020, he punched a conductor. In April 2021, he slashed a woman. In May of 2021, he menaced another woman. In December of 2021, he was sentenced to 3 years in prison, and in February 2024, released to parole until 2028.
All right, so this is what I know. This is what I know for sure. I'm never worried about going to prison. I'm never worried about going to jail and being locked up for a long time. I ain't worried about that. The only people that got to really be worried about that is if you broke and you did a Diddy freak off. That's it. The only people that got to worry about ever going to prison, honest to God, at least that live in New York or California. Maybe they don't play that over there in Texas or something like that, but the only people that ever got to worry about going to prison is if you broke and you Diddy. Or you're a politician that did something dirty. That's it. Because if he can get away with punching a conductor, slashing a woman, menacing a woman, I don't even know what menacing means, but that just tells you how much of a menace he is to society. And you sentenced 3 years, you sentenced to 3 years in prison, but then you released on parole right after that, and you over there stabbing people, I guarantee you he'll probably be out in less than 5 to 10 years. I guarantee you he'll be out in less than 5 to 10. I ain't even got to worry about it. I ain't never, ever, ever got to worry about going to prison. Ever. Because if they can do all of this and get away with it, chase a man down, stab him 14 times, be standing over him with the knife, you chase a 64-year-old man down, a train conductor, an MTA conductor, I ain't never got to worry about going to prison. United States of America is lawless now.
Until 2028. Transit workers are under orders to clear their trains when they reach the end of the line. Part of the mayor's subway safety plan put into effect 2 years ago. But union leaders say the policy
Hey, look. Homie is they mopping around people that's sleeping on the train. They don't even bother to, if you wake them up, they might slash you. He's mopping the floor around people that are sleeping on the train. The train in New York is shelter now.
Safety plan.
All you got to do is designate yourself as a migrant. You can get a free hotel stay.
Effect 2 years ago. But union leaders say the policy is putting their members at risk.
Obviously, we're going to look to do something different to protect our member, and that's going to be coming very shortly.
But the fact that this happened means that was dangerous, what they were doing?
Yes, it's a proven fact that cleated out trains has become dangerous. It's a proven fact. Yes, the answer to that question is yes, it is dangerous, and it must be addressed.
Pollock was a hard-working train operator who was simply doing his job, said the DA. We will aggressively pursue full accountability for this violent assault.
So that's what you can expect over in New York. hard on crime. They're being very, very hard on crime. Chicago rapper Lil Durk is accused in a new lawsuit in a deadly shooting of another rival over there in Chicago. Check it out.
It's been 4 years since Chicago rapper FGB Duck was killed, and his mother's pain is still raw.
Not a day goes by that I don't think about him and the life that was taken from him.
FGB Duck, whose real name was Carlton Weekly, was gunned down on the Gold Coast by a group of masked men as he waited to enter the Dolce & Gabbana store August of 2020. His girlfriend, Cashay Williams, and another man also wounded in the attack. They joined Weekly's mother in filing a lawsuit Wednesday, alleging rap superstar Lil Durk had a hand in the gang-related killing, wanting to take out Weekly. Their years-long rivalry playing out in a series of violent drill rap songs.
Our complaint law lays out that a $100,000 bounty was placed on the life of FGB Duck to have him killed.
The lawsuit names a wide-ranging list of defendants, including Lil Durk, his record label Only the Family, or OTF, and other larger labels that partnered with OTF, like Sony and UMG Interscope. Attorney Roosevelt Allen saying the larger labels welcome artists engaging in criminal activity, putting profit over human life.
They want authenticity, which has bred these type of individuals getting in the music business, carrying out their activities, and the record label companies are fueling it, financing it, developing brands for them.
Earlier this year, 6 purported gang members were convicted of carrying out Weekly's murder. Allen saying with this lawsuit, he hopes others who knowingly promoted violence will be held accountable.
That's where it crosses the line, when you take it from the music and you take it to the public and the street.
Nope, you're wrong. It crossed the line when it became a cultural norm, and we continue to validate it. And so I don't really know how a lawsuit actually justifies the killing, but how can they prove that he actually did anything? And if it was, why wouldn't it be a criminal complaint instead of a civil suit? This is no different than the women in the New York court of law that then filed a lawsuit in order to get money from people that did stuff. I just don't understand. Listen, you live by the gun, you die by the gun. Y'all justify this. Y'all want y'all rappers to be as real as possible. You don't see this in country music. You don't see this in pop music. You don't see any of that. Michael Jackson and Prince, they just battled, and you know what I'm saying? They just water waved and they moonwalked, and he played his guitar and he did Purple Rain. They did all of that. And they never actually put out no guns on each other. They battled. James Brown called up Michael Jackson. Hey, Michael. And then Michael told James Brown, hey, bring Prince up here. And then Prince jumped on the pole and he was swinging on the pole, and then it fell into the audience. And then they had a grudge ever since. It was a grudge match ever since. Ever since they said, it's me and you. Me and you. And we going to battle it out on the songs. That's what happened. That's literally, that's the story. Michael didn't like Paul McCartney, so he bought the Beatles catalog. It was battling out on wax. Now, see, you get big as a rapper, you make a couple of dollars, next thing you know, you're putting 100,000 on somebody's head. It's different. It's different now. Anyways, and then last but not least, a man was killed in Mexico. And a Southern California man was shot and killed in Mexico, and his sister and his family is battling to bring his body home in order to give him a proper burial. But there's a twist to it. Check it out.
A Southern California family reeling from the sudden and violent loss of a loved one who was shot and killed while visiting Mexico is also facing the added trauma of trying to bring his body back home. KTLA's Shelby Nelson reports from Hemet.
We want to bring my brother home.
That's what Karen LaJude and her family are desperately trying to do, get her brother back from Mexico to give him a proper funeral.
He was the sweetest person you could have ever met.
Isaac Lopez was just 23 years old, excited about life and all that it had to offer. He was an aspiring singer-songwriter living in Riverside. Isaac traveled to Mexico over the weekend to attend his sister's vow renewals in Ensenada and to visit his grandmother. But on his way back home Monday morning, Karen says she got a call from his boyfriend Jake, who doesn't speak Spanish.
They were like,
oh, there's a twist. There's a twist. So he was living in California. Makes sense. Sister got red and purple hair. Makes sense. And he was with his boyfriend over in Mexico. He was with his boyfriend. This was the twist. This was the twist. Let me play the rest of the story, and then y'all can make y'all own assessment after that.
30 minutes into driving, and Jake said that he heard a pop. And he looked over at Isaac. Isaac was driving, and he saw Isaac's head immediately just went down. And he grabbed the steering wheel.
The two were also traveling with Jake's cousin, who was in the backseat. The car went into a ditch. Moments after, a man approaches the vehicle.
They were like, "Is everybody okay?" in Spanish. Is everybody okay? And then Jake was trying to get help. He was like, "Oh, please help us." And when he said that, the guy took out the gun and he shot Jake on the shoulder. He immediately went to the back and he started saying, "Dinero, dinero, teléfonos." And he looked at Darlene and he shot her.
Karen was told it took Mexican authorities more than an hour to respond. Within that time, her brother passed away. She says all the suspect took was a phone. Her brother's wallet was still there, leaving her and her family with even more questions. She believes this was a crime of opportunity and that the shooter targeted Isaac's vehicle because of his foreign license plates. As for Jake and his cousin, both survived the traumatizing attack. Meantime, Karen and her family are raising money to help bring her little brother home. She says the #1 thing she'll miss
is hugs.
Be careful when you're traveling into these other places. You look like food, 100%.